Good morning. These days after Christmas are sometimes very difficult for people. Feels like such a letdown. All that hype that goes toward the celebration. And then all of a sudden in 24 hours, boom, it's over. Now, not for believers, not for Christians. Obviously, we believe, we celebrate for the 12 days following, just so that we really sink it in, you know? But the reality is, in the secular world, that any minute now, we'll be seeing Valentine's Day things on the shelves, right? Life goes on. And so Christmas becomes a holiday such as any other holiday. You get a couple of days off from work, you eat some good food on a regular year, maybe you visit with family, but basically, it's over. And yet, that's the furthest thing from the truth. This day does not mark something new. Christmas, the celebration of the divine becoming flesh, is something that we celebrate. Our minds are blown by this reality. This is something that, even though it happened years and years and years ago, we celebrate it each year at Christmas time to remind ourselves. We talked earlier in Advent about being aware and being awake. Well, this is what we're awake to. The reality that God has never left us. That God has always been here. Even in the darkest times, even in the times of COVID. Even in great sadness and sorrow and loss and awkwardness and changes and uncertainty and anxiety, God is with us. God is present. This isn't something new. We celebrate it every year to remind ourselves. And so I think it makes sense. Don't abandon your nativity scene yet. Don't abandon the crèche, the stable, the manger. Take some time today before you disassemble everything and walk toward that encounter, make an encounter with the Christ child, with this embodiment of divine God, of this divine spirit that has chosen this time and place to walk among us. Have you dared to ask anything of God this Christmas? Not that you don't ask otherwise, but remember we talked about those dormant prayers, that God's answer to us is always present, just like God is. It's just that we have to work up the courage to credit ourselves as valuable enough to ask. And as you come toward that crèche, as you walk toward that stable, in your imagination, a place that's filled with the warmth of animals, the smells of animals, the sounds of animals, and then these foreign human beings that are planted right in the middle of this animal scene, walk toward this scene. Imagine yourself there at the crèche. And work up the courage to lay your request before the bed of Jesus, the bed of the divine. Knowing in your heart that God has said that every question, every request will be answered. God hears you, sees you, knows you. And it's that reason that the divine became enfleshed at Christmas time. We don't just celebrate the birth of something that happened years and years ago. It's kind of crazy otherwise. We're aware of the fact that that birth manifested the connection, the amazing connection between humanity and divinity. And if you lay your request before divinity, a God who loves you deeply, you entrust that request to God. You're telling God that I believe in you enough to entrust what's sacred to me and important to me in your hands. And then let it go. Spend quiet there, in that humble space that God chose for that connection to take place. Not born in the Marriott, not born in the palace, born in a place that nobody else would have ever thought to be. God does amazing things. God doesn't play by the rules a lot of times. God colors outside the lines. So then keep your heart open. Keep your eyes open. What will the answer of God be? And just know the answer